What's up, guys? Guess who is the most craziest person enough to review the 10th episode of Game of Thrones 3 weeks after it came out? Alright, so anyway, let's get started. Once again, I would like to thank everyone who is still with this channel, even though I haven't provided content for like 3 weeks. So thank you, and I'm totally sorry. And I will make this review two parts. In the same video, of course. One part, the review of the episode, and one part, the review of the whole series in general, as it compares to the last two series. So season 10's season finale is entitled Mhysa, which is the free city's name for mother, as it's pronounced in the city that Daenerys takes over. And it was quite an interesting episode to see where the characters were going and see where they're going to be heading for next series, and it's a little bit difficult for the cast to write this material because we had such a huge episode last week. Well, I guess the episode beforehand that was the Red Wedding, basically, and it's hard to top that, and they know that too. So season 10 is basically, episode 10 is basically the epilogue for the Game of Thrones series in general. Opening scene, we see that Robb's army is just decimated, with tons of people just lying dead, getting ripped apart, hung, mutilated, stabbed, and we even see Robb. Except, guess what? His head is cut off, finished, finito. And on top of that, we see that his wolf has his head on top of Robb's body, which is terrible to watch. And we cut to basically Bolton looking at the carnage and seeing everything. And then we go to him talking to Walder Frey and just basically showing no remorse for what they done at all. Like, it's like, oh, okay, they had it coming. And, in a way they did, but it's hard to feel like, oh, yeah, it's more sympathetic for the villain. But after they just shrug it off nonchalantly. But anyways, it's just so gruesome to watch and terrible. I just wanted to kill Walder Frey. Oh, I hate that guy. But anyways, this was a pretty damn good episode, even though at times it felt like, why did they throw that in there? And that part of what I'm talking about is why they threw that in there. That part I'm talking about is actually the last scene, which is Daenerys. I'm jumping ahead, but I really want to talk about this part right now. Daenerys, I don't know why that scene was in there, or like why, because there was no build up to it, of like her being basically praised as like the next Messiah or coming to be. I didn't see anything add up to that throughout this episode. They just kind of threw it in there as the last scene in this episode without showing any other scenes in this episode about her, which I thought was very odd. And if you're going to have that as your last scene to finish off the season, get some build up. Show her struggling to ponder the fact of her leading all these people, all these slaves. How is she going to lead them? How is she going to take care of them? Have her think this in her mind, But I guess they didn't want to do that too much. Maybe they'll save it for next season. They probably will, because she's going to spend a lot more time in that place for next season and trying to lead these people to being her followers, her people. Another revelation we learned today is that Bolton's bastard son is named Ramsay, and he is the one who is torturing Theon Greyjoy for, killing everyone in Winterfell. And that's kind of hypocritical considering the fact that he's the one who betrayed Robb, so that bastard needs to get tortured too. Moving on from that, we see that Theon basically has his dick shipped off to his daddy. Not so good, especially when his dad looks at it. At first he's like, oh no, Theon. But then he's like, I really don't care. Oh well, he's not a Greyjoy anymore. But yet Theon's sister isn't taking a liking to that. And so she's like, I'm not gonna deal with this shit. So I'm gonna go get my little brother. We're gonna take all the best warriors and we're gonna march on and steal Theon away from Ramsay, and I admire her for that. Go you. I forget her name. Another plus I loved in this episode was actually seeing Arya just basically going full out assassin on those people that she encountered, who that guy claimed to have chopped off Robb Stark's head. I don't think he did, because I don't see how he could have gotten to that point that they were traveling on over time. I don't see that. So I guess he was just claiming that. But he was, of course, a sympathizer for Lord Bolton. And so we saw that Arya, I love her. She just went up, put on the nice girl act, and said, "Oh yes, I'm hungry. I want some food and water from you people." And then, of course, you get stabbed in the back, bitch, by Arya. And so, Hound is very surprised, because that was his own knife that he had. So, Arya, man, she just won so much respect from him. And he's like, next time you do that, tell me. And so, I can see a huge, bigger, more like combination between those two. And I hope they really play off each other in the next season, all throughout the whole season. I want to see a show just dedicated to the Hound and Arya, because those two are basically the same type of people. They're outcasts, you know? They're the lowest of the low in their family, basically, and they don't get enough respect. They don't. And they're get shat upon. And so my fear is that Arya will become the Hound to a greater extent, in that she might kill more people without second thought, and I'm afraid that's going to happen to her, and that's where she's going to head, because that girl has withstood so much trauma in her life, and the only way to deal with it is to just strike fire with fire and just kill everybody she sees. And to an extent, I don't disagree with her. Everyone in Westeros is just such a terrible person, you know, and it's like questioning. And it brings up the question as to what is to save in Westeros. Why do we want the White Walkers to not invade? You know? Would we be better off without the White Walkers invading us? Maybe they have the right idea. Maybe they deserve to perish in Westeros. But I hope not, because there's good people in Westeros. There really is. And Varys is one of them, to an extent, I guess. And we even see him talking to Tyrion's girlfriend, mistress, and he's actually saying that Tyrion is the last person in Westeros that can has a lot of power, that can be a good person in King's Landing, and that she will be a distraction for him, and that she needs to go away. And he even pays her off with diamonds, and she says, "He'll tell me when I need to leave." But he has, woman! He has! He said, "Get the fuck out of there!" But no, she just doesn't want to listen. She really doesn't. And you know what? She's asking to get killed by staying there. She really is. So when it comes time to have her death, if they ever kill her off, I won't be, I won't be feeling sympathetic for her, because she has had so many ways to just get the hell out of there. And she keeps on complaining about the relationship between her and Tyrion all the time because of Sansa, which is understandable. But, woman, you gotta go. You gotta leave. They're gonna kill you. You know, this is your life. But if you want to stay for Tyrion, get killed, and get him possibly really in trouble, then I guess you gotta do it. Speaking about King's Landing, we see that Jaime finally gets to King's Landing, and he's right there, and he talks to Cersei. Well, not talks to, he just calls her name, and that's it. And then we see her baffled about how he looks and that he's actually there. She's like, "Oh, Jaime, oh." And that's all we see. And I was disappointed in that, because you spend the whole season trying to get there. That's the only satisfaction that they can give you? That's horseshit. That right there. Did not like that at all. Wanted more scenes of him. And they could have integrated him with Tyrion, too. And just, like, showing that, hey, your brother's back. And maybe they could have ended on Tyrion's reaction to that for the series. And be like, "Oh, Jaime's back. and then maybe that's the last scene we see of Tyrion. That'd be really great. But oh well, the missed opportunity. But we'll move on. We haven't talked about the North yet, and there's so much to talk about. So let's do it. All right. So Sam basically has met up with Bran, and we figure out that Bran is saying, "Hey Sam, let Jon know that I'm alive, I guess," and then that they're gonna go to the wall, beyond the wall, and Sam lets them in through the secret passageway. And so they do that, and we find out that Sam gets back to the Night's Watch, and we see that Jon Snow, despite him being shot with 3 arrows in the back, in the knee, love hurts, kid. Sorry. That he actually gets back to Night's Watch alive, no less. I thought they were going to kill him off for an instant. I really did. I was hoping they wouldn't. I was like, oh, jeez, no, don't kill him off, too. Please. Enough Starks have died already. But I was so thankful that they didn't. And that whole conversation between Jon Snow and Ygritte just made the episode. You could just see the anger and frustration in Ygritte's eyes. And she knew she didn't really want to kill him. And she missed on purpose, too. She just went through, basically, the areas that wouldn't kill him too much. And she just wanted him to know that you really pissed on my life. And we could have had such a happier life together. But Jon Snow thinks about everyone else and his cause. That's why he joined the Night's Watch. And Ygritte, sadly, only thinks about herself and Jon. And to lose Jon is to lose a part of herself, too. And the man that she's come to love throughout this whole season. Overall, the structuring of this episode was very questionable. And it brought to my attention that it felt like Season 1, except not really, because it showed you where the characters were going to go in Season 4, but they showed you at weird parts. For example, Theon Greyjoy's sister going to rescue him, that could have been built up more towards the ending, because that was a very powerful scene. That plus we saw that Bran was going to go through the wall. That was a very powerful scene as well. And those scenes could have saved more towards the end instead of right in the middle. And I was very little frustrated at that. And I was disappointed as well to see that Daenerys' scene was, although it was very good, very powerful, and showed her how much she's become and grown as a character, it had no build up to it. And I was also very disappointed in Jaime's characterization of him just going there and then that's it. We'll have to see what happens and everybody's reaction next season. I was disappointed in that too. But there was very good high points with Arya, Jon Snow. Everybody had high points in this episode. So, I mean, I have to say that this season has just been phenomenal. And it's been a great time. It's been a great time reviewing for you guys. And so I will award this episode a 9 out of 10. Because this was a very satisfying ending, I have to say. Now, compared to the rest of the seasons before it, season 1, season 2, I thought this was probably the weakest season. And let me just explain on that. I thought that episode 4 was fantastic. I thought that episode 9 was fantastic. And I thought the other episodes were good too, but they weren't as good as those. However, I thought that the build-up in the first 3 episodes to the season took a little bit too long. And even though it's a slow series to build up to, I thought they could have done a little bit more. But here's the kicker. Seasons 1, Season 2 were both based off both books, right? Season 1 was based off book 1. Season 2 is based off book 2. This season, however, is based off half of the book 3. So that means there's a whole section missing. There's a whole section we haven't seen yet. And that's a little painful because I wish they put like maybe 5 more episodes into this. But, oh well. At least I wanted them to put half an hour extra into the last episode. That could easily be done. But sadly, we don't get to see that. And they should really push for that next year. They need another half an hour to the ending of this episode. And they really need that. They really need that half an hour extra to award to such a fantastic show. To give it a complete and just powerful send-off for the fans as well. However, that costs money, so they probably won't see that maybe next year. And so since this was just based off half the third book, we're missing a lot more. And so I have to say that it was the weakest out of all 3 seasons. However, Ice and Fire book series, I have to say that book 3 is my favorite of them all. I'm reading the 4th one, and I have to read the 5th one eventually. And so I haven't read the others, but so far, book 3 is my favorite book. This season, however, isn't my favorite season. Season 2 was. And book 2 was my least favorite book. So it's very weird and odd that to think all this throughout this whole series. And it's just interesting, the difference between the books and the TV show. The TV show adds to the parts that aren't good in the books, and the books adds to the more to the better parts in the books. So I find that interesting and odd. But yet I'm grateful we have both mediums that we can do. And if you're complaining that the show isn't as good as the books, then keep on reading the books. And you don't have to watch the show. But for those who haven't had time to read the books, this show is very good and is the best on television at the moment. And so I would recommend you go out there and subscribe to HBO right now. If you don't have, you don't even need cable. You can just watch HBO Go. So, oh well. I discourage you from pirating this shit. Please spend that $10, please, to just go to HBO.com and just watch it there, because they really need your support. Or even buy the box set. I haven't bought season 2 box set, but I'll have to do that soon. Anyways, that's my review. That's my 2 cents. That's my input to the season finale and to the overall season in general. Thank you for watching this journey I've made for you guys. Oh, my laptop. Throughout this whole season so far, and thank you for your comments. I can see your passion going in between with these episodes, and it's just really good, and it keeps me going too. The likes keeps me going as well, and even the subscriptions, and thank you. And I apologize again for leaving you guys for 3 weeks. That will never happen again. I promise you that. I promise you, really, I do. And for content coming up, I will be reviewing movies that I have seen this summer, considering probably the Great Gatsby, and I'm gonna watch Superman, the new Superman movie coming out. So stay tuned for those reviews, and I'm gonna watch World War Z as well. So we'll have to see what happens as this channel progresses. I'm also starting a new channel that I will link to you in the description later on. I haven't made it yet, but it will be a game playthrough channel with my friends that we're making soon, and I hope you guys will check that out eventually. It's called Just Plain Gaming, and stay tuned for that to come. So I'll be working on that, and I hope to see you guys later. This has been Rob Summerhays signing off. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.